I have been a professional artist for the past 6 years, and through that time, I have seen my ups and downs with my art, experienced a lot of change, and looking back, thankfully, I have grown just a little bit when it comes to painting. But one thing that has not changed over these last few years has been my struggle with finding my style and who I am as an artist. If you found yourself clicking this video feeling the same way, come and join me as I paint my strangest, most unique piece yet in my attempts at finding myself and hopefully helping you, my fellow artist friend, along the way. I noticed with my last few paintings that I just wasn't happy. I felt as though I was just going through the motion of painting, just sort of plodding away at these pieces with no real sense of purpose or drive. Even sitting in front of my canvas, getting into my studio in the mornings was daunting, and to be honest, I started to dread it. Now that sounds terrible, but I'm just trying to be as honest as possible. It's so true. I was beginning to really dread the entire process. I was unmotivated, uninspired, and I knew that in order to keep my career as an artist sustainable and my passion for art alive, which is the most important part for me, something had to change. I took the time through 2023 to really look inside myself for answers and ask myself some tough questions. And the one thing that I noticed that kept reoccurring for me was the fact that I felt as though my art was boring. I had reached a point in my art journey where I have developed the fundamental skills to create realistic looking paintings, but I had not put in any effort into making them unique. All of my paintings, to me, felt very bland with no sense of identity, and there was no sprinkle of me, Cassie Draws, in my paintings. To me, it just felt like paint on a canvas with no sense of life. Now, artists have been asking themselves, what is my art style and how do I find it? For as long as art has existed. And this will probably never change. And although there is no easy fix, and let me tell you honestly, this path is not a straight shot to the finish. It is a long, winding, at times confusing, frustrating road. There are things that we can do and remember to help guide us to our style, or at least start to develop who and what that is. With this particular painting, before I even began to create it, I had done a ton of research into what types of art styles inspired me and the look and feel that I wanted for my artwork. Now, when I say I took a deep dive into Pinterest and Instagram, I am not kidding. I scrolled for what feels like hours, favoriting and saving pieces that resonated with me. Was it dramatic lighting? Was it more of a painterly style than hyper-realistic? Did it have a certain color palette that I was really drawn to? If I liked it for any reason and it made me stop and think and feel, I favorited it. Now, this was a great way for me to gauge what I find visually appealing and what I can imagine myself making for a sustainably long time. Now, when you take the journey and deep dive yourself, try not to think too hard about it. Let your heart and your eyes do the deciding as you save your favorites. Keep a folder that's private just for you, where you can save all of your inspiration and begin to create a collection of what could be the foundation for your art style. Now, it's important to note that it is never okay to steal or directly copy from another artist. This folder is inspirational, and that is purely it. It is to inspire you to create something that is entirely unique to you. You can combine and create a hybrid of all these different elements, but never directly take from another artist and use it for yourself. Just had to preface that as it's super important, and there is really a fine line between drawing inspiration and directly copying another person. Once I had a sizable folder of inspiration, I then took some time to sift through it and find the common elements between all of the saved photographs. So, what is the reoccurring themes that you see throughout your folder? And I noticed in mine that I had a lot of geometric illustration type elements, and that was a huge surprise to see. I thought for sure my folder would be entirely fine art, but it was a little bit of a surprise to see more of my graphic design background being thrown in, and that was just a huge shocker for me. I saw a lot of bright colors, at times bold brushstrokes, and also a lot of metallic elements added in. So for me, metallics and my eye just seemed to go together. I was leaning more heavily to a realistic, but sometimes painterly style, focusing on wildlife and flowers, believe it or not, with minimal backgrounds as accents. Now, it's incredibly telling looking at this collection. I noticed things about myself that I never would have guessed beforehand. And truthfully, looking at this, I never would have attempted painting any of these pieces before. Now, I want you to look at your collection and see what you find. What themes are there? Is it dramatic lighting, bold colors, abstract shapes or heavy brushstrokes, portraits or flowers? When you've chosen a few keywords that seem to kind of reoccur for you, I'd love to challenge you to create a painting using those elements. Now, this is exactly what I did for my painting today, was I challenged myself to add geometric elements using a sort of strange, unusual, wavy shape to illustrate the shrinking of the leopard population. I, of course, kept my realistic features of my leopard being the fur and the eyes, which is definitely, as you know, if you've seen my channel and my work before, this is my comfort zone and my passion. And I added in some bold brushstrokes of gold, so there's my brushstrokes and my metallics, to create a gold drip element indicating value or worth. All of these aspects that I loved so much combined into one painting. Now, as I'm creating this painting, there are definitely things I would do differently if I had to paint it all over again. Things I don't like, things I would alter, but that's okay. This piece ultimately was a test, a challenge to put myself outside of the box and my little comfort zone that I usually hide in and do something out there, something that I never would have done before. And I am so glad that I did. Trying new things and experimenting is one of the greatest pieces of advice that I can give. Our brains, a lot of the times, stop us from creating. We are truthfully our own worst enemy. With the pressure of social media, curating that perfect Instagram feed, knowing that our artwork online only lives in the algorithm for, let's say, if we're lucky, 4 to 6 hours before it completely disappears off the face of the internet, and our own personal pressure to create beautiful, amazing pieces every time, our brain sabotages us creatively. We strive to create perfection and in turn make ourselves unhappy. Instead of this, I want to challenge you to try something new. Pick up a new medium that you've never tried before, but maybe have always wanted to. I'll tell you a little story. Just the other day, I picked up gouache, and let me tell you, I am awful at it. Absolute garbage. I'm so bad. I don't know how these incredible, amazing artists I see online are creating stunning things with gouache. Please teach me your ways, but I am so bad at it. But at least I can cross it off my list as something I've tried and I've learned from. Even if the learning part is, wow, I never want to do that again, you're taking that knowledge and applying it to your art journey and every other aspect of art. Remove the thinking from your art. And this is really hard and one of the hardest things we can do as artists. Remove the thinking. Pick up your brush, your pencil, whatever medium you prefer, and just create. Let your hands move across your canvas, your paper, the sidewalk, whatever you are creating on, and paint or draw with feeling, your heart, and see what happens. I think it is also incredibly important to say, in combination with experimenting and trying new things, is plan to fail. It is okay to create crappy artwork, and I'm using air quotes around crappy, but it's okay to create something that you're just not proud of. Something that you hate and go, ugh, please don't look at that. Those are good pieces of artwork. Even if it is a complete fail, you're molding your style, you're finding yourself in the good and the bad, and deciding what you love and what you hate. When shaping your style, you don't even have to share these pieces if you don't want to. I think there is this unspoken pressure to share everything we create online because that is what makes us an artist. When in reality, you can create as much as you want and keep it entirely to yourself. Those epic fails that you hate so much but feel pressure to post them, put those pieces in a locked box somewhere, a closet, a storage room, forget about them. Let them be a relic to you years later when you crack that box open and you sift through it. You'll be amazed at your growth and how far you've come in that time. We often don't see it every single day, but when you look back, you can really start to see your development and your improvement as an artist. Explore, experiment, plan to fail, and try something new. Now, something that I definitely fell into was limiting myself to creating one style of artwork. For those who have followed my work for a while, know that I've been painting wildlife with acrylic for years. But I would primarily paint portraits of animals with the same style of background each time because it worked. It was the first type of work that I released to the public on social media that had a positive reaction and opinion from others, and it really launched my full-time art business, creating portraits of pets and wildlife for my commissioners. And for a while, it was my go-to. It was my staple in my business, but really this just led me to being burnt out and bored with my artwork. I would create paintings just for the sake of creating them, feeding the machine, if you will, and not really putting in my full level of passion that I knew I was capable of creating with. I didn't feel that sense of fulfillment when I finished a painting, and I certainly wasn't experimenting or evolving like I had hoped I would through my years of painting. Although my technical skill had improved, so my animals became more realistic over time, everything else had remained kind of stagnant and boring. I got stuck in a rut of painting the same animals in the same style, and it was actually hindering me as an artist. We are forever evolving. Artists are continually changing, and we need to nurture that with different things. Try new styles with the subject matter that you enjoy the most. Take animals, for example. Maybe dabble in watercolor with very loose, expressive animal portraits. Or go back to basics with graphite and draw from life. Maybe visit your local zoo or a favorite farm and really draw from what you are seeing right in front of you. Create dramatic scenes with oils, very large canvas paintings, or create something entirely new with digital art on your iPad, maybe during your morning commute. All of these different forms of art can improve other areas of your art journey that we don't even realize would relate. Your oils can affect your acrylics, your graphite can affect your watercolor. All of them relate to one another and our skill level and our happiness improving. You'll be a better, happier artist because of it, and your work will show it. The process with finding your style never stops and is a lifelong journey. It is most definitely a marathon and not a sprint, and should be something that is enjoyable and interesting to you as an artist. Find a process that you look forward to and are excited about when you wake up. When you know it's art day and you're going into your studio, your safe space, you should be interested, excited, and looking forward to it, optimistic. Whether it's easy and fun for you to create or challenging and difficult, as long as that process is rewarding to you in some way, then you are making strides to becoming a better, happier artist. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on finding your art style in the comments below. Oftentimes, we feel alone in these feelings. Being an artist can be incredibly lonely, so I'd love for you to share your thoughts, as I can guarantee someone else in the comments is feeling the exact same way. Keep your head up and keep creating. We've got this. And best of luck in finding your art style. I hope you found this helpful, and just continue to be happy and do what your heart feels is best. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more, I would be honored if you hit the subscribe button and joined our YouTube family. A big shout out to our Patreon members this month. Thank you so much for your support. And if you yourself would like to become a member, you can check out the link in the description box below. On Patreon, I offer all kinds of perks, including full-length art tutorials that you can follow along to. A big thank you to our channel sponsors, Chartpak, Grumbacker, and Molotov for sponsoring today's video, as well as sponsoring my channel here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.